If you're over 60 and living independently, 1 in 3 seniors like you are experiencing dangerous isolation that's affecting their health and safety, according to the latest research. The most shocking part? The number one mistake isn't loneliness or forgetting medications. It's digital illiteracy that's creating life-threatening gaps in emergency communication and healthcare access. While 66% of adults over 50 say technology enriches their lives, many are still struggling with basic digital skills that have become essential for safety and independence in 2025. Before you dismiss this as another generic advice video, understand that these insights are based on brand new research that reveals how technology barriers are putting seniors at serious risk in ways most people haven't considered yet. The digital divide that's putting seniors at risk. The reality is that 38% of older adults still lack the digital skill support they need for telehealth appointments, according to AARP's 2025 Tech Trends report. This isn't about convenience anymore. When you can't access critical medical services through your phone or computer, you're facing a genuine safety crisis. Margaret learned this the hard way at 71 years old. She had a scheduled telehealth appointment to check on her heart medication, but when the appointment time came, she couldn't figure out how to answer the video call. After 20 minutes of panic, the appointment window closed. Margaret spent the rest of the day worried sick about her symptoms and was hospitalized 3 days later when her condition worsened. What happened to Margaret represents a massive shift in how we think about digital skills in 2025. This isn't about being tech-savvy or keeping up with trends. Digital illiteracy has become a life-threatening safety issue because essential services have moved online without providing adequate support for older adults. When you can't operate your smartphone during a medical emergency, when you can't access telehealth services during a health crisis, or when you can't communicate with emergency contacts when you need help most, technology becomes a barrier instead of a lifeline. The cascade effect starts small but grows dangerous quickly. You miss one telehealth appointment because you can't figure out the video calling feature. Then you avoid scheduling follow-up appointments because you're worried about the same problem happening again. Meanwhile, you can't order groceries online when weather makes driving unsafe, so you either risk dangerous trips to the store or go without fresh food for days. Your adult children send you texts with important information, but you accidentally delete them before reading because you don't understand how messaging works. Family members try to video call to check on you, but you can't answer, so they start worrying unnecessarily. Each missed connection makes you feel more isolated and frustrated with technology. This digital gap is particularly concerning when you consider that 1 in 3 older adults already feel lonely regularly. When technology barriers prevent access to telehealth services and family communication, this isolation becomes even more dangerous. The world is moving toward digital-first communication, but nobody is teaching seniors how to navigate this new landscape safely. This digital gap is widening every month as more essential services assume everyone has basic smartphone skills. Pharmacies send prescription reminders through apps. Utility companies require online account access for service issues. Even local senior centers post activity schedules on websites and expect people to register through online forms. Banking increasingly happens through mobile apps, with some services only available digitally. Medical offices schedule appointments through patient portals that require smartphone verification codes. The world is moving toward digital-first communication, but nobody is teaching seniors how to navigate this new landscape safely. Here's what most people don't realize about this problem. The seniors who are struggling aren't lazy or resistant to change. They're intelligent people who simply haven't been taught these skills in a way that makes sense for their needs and learning styles. Traditional tech support focuses on younger users and assumes knowledge that seniors don't have. Family members often try to help but end up doing things for their older relatives instead of teaching them step by step. Most seniors want to learn these skills but don't know where to start or worry about making expensive mistakes. The unexpected solution that's working comes from community tech training programs specifically designed for seniors. These programs are showing remarkable success rates in basic digital literacy because they understand how older adults learn best. They use larger screens, slower pacing, and real-world examples that matter to seniors. Instead of teaching every feature of a smartphone, They focus on the 3 or 4 functions that actually improve safety and communication. They practice the same tasks multiple times until muscle memory develops. Most importantly, they create a supportive environment where asking questions is encouraged and making mistakes is part of the learning process. You can find these programs through your local library system, community colleges, senior centers, and organizations like AARP that specifically serve older adults. Many areas also have volunteer programs where tech-savvy community members provide one-on-one coaching for seniors who prefer individual instruction. Some programs even offer loaner devices so you can practice without fear of breaking your own phone. Religious organizations and community groups often host tech workshops as part of their outreach programs. Start with one new tech skill per month instead of trying to learn everything at once. Pick something that will immediately improve your safety or connection with others. For example, spend January learning how to make and answer video calls so you can participate in telehealth appointments. In February, focus on text messaging so family can reach you quickly in emergencies. March could be about using your phone's camera to take pictures of important documents or medical information. This gradual approach prevents overwhelm and builds confidence with each success. The key insight that transforms everything is understanding which 3 basic smartphone functions create the biggest safety improvements. First, reliable phone calling, including knowing how to dial emergency numbers even when your phone is locked. Second, text messaging for quick communication with family and receiving important alerts from medical providers or emergency services. Third, basic internet access so you can look up important information like pharmacy hours, weather alerts, or transportation services when you need them most. These 3 skills alone open up access to telehealth appointments, family communication during emergencies, and essential service information when you're stuck at home. You don't need to master social media, online shopping, or complicated apps to dramatically improve your safety and independence. Focus on these core functions first, and you'll discover that many other digital tasks become much easier to learn later. The confidence you build from mastering these basics creates momentum for learning additional skills when you're ready. However, even when seniors do gain basic digital skills and start using telehealth services, there's another critical problem that most people aren't talking about. The technology barrier is just the beginning of the challenge. The telehealth trap most seniors fall into. The real danger emerges once seniors overcome the technical hurdles and start using telehealth regularly. Here's the problem that many seniors using telehealth are experiencing right now. They're missing critical health information during virtual appointments because nobody taught them how to prepare for these consultations properly. This isn't about technical difficulties with the video connection. The technology works fine. The issue is that telehealth requires completely different preparation skills than traditional doctor visits. But healthcare providers assume seniors automatically know what to do. Robert's experience shows exactly how this preparation gap creates serious health consequences. At 69 years old, Robert had been managing his diabetes and high blood pressure for over a decade with regular in-person doctor visits. When his medical practice switched to telehealth appointments during busy periods, Robert thought the transition would be simple. He scheduled his first virtual appointment and sat down at his kitchen table when the doctor called. The appointment lasted 15 minutes. Just like his office visits, but something felt wrong. Robert had been experiencing new symptoms over the past month. His energy levels dropped significantly after lunch every day, and he noticed occasional dizziness when standing up quickly. He also had questions about a new medication his cardiologist had prescribed. But during the telehealth call, Robert felt rushed and couldn't organize his thoughts quickly enough to mention these concerns. The doctor asked his standard questions about blood sugar readings and blood pressure measurements. Robert provided the basic answers, and the appointment ended before he realized he hadn't discussed his most important health issues. The same thing happened during Robert's second telehealth appointment 6 weeks later. This time, Robert told himself he would definitely bring up the fatigue and dizziness. But again the conversation moved too quickly through routine topics. Robert felt like he was interrupting when he tried to mention new symptoms. So he stayed quiet and planned to call the office later. He never made that follow-up call. By his third telehealth appointment, Robert had developed a pattern of answering the doctor's direct questions without volunteering additional information about changes in his health. 3 months of virtual appointments passed without Robert ever mentioning the symptoms that were actually affecting his daily life. When he finally had an in-person appointment, his doctor discovered that Robert's afternoon fatigue and dizziness were signs of medication interactions that required immediate attention. The fundamental problem is that telehealth appointments operate differently than in-person visits, but most seniors approach them with the same expectations and preparation habits. During office visits, you have transition time while walking from the waiting room to the examination room, time while the nurse takes vital signs, and natural conversation opportunities while the doctor reviews your chart. These moments create space for casual mentions of new symptoms or concerns. Virtual appointments eliminate this transition time and informal conversation. The video call starts immediately with focused medical discussion, leaving no room for the gradual sharing of information that happens naturally during in-person visits. The most common preparation mistakes happen before the appointment even begins. Poor lighting makes it difficult for doctors to observe visual symptoms like skin color changes, facial expressions during pain descriptions, or general appearance indicators of health status. Many seniors position their camera at awkward angles that show only part of their face or create shadows that obscure important visual information. Others sit too far from the camera, making it impossible for doctors to see details that would be obvious during in-person examinations. The audio quality problems occur when seniors use speakerphone settings that create echo or feedback, making conversation difficult and causing important information to be missed or misunderstood. Even more problematic is the lack of organized medical information during virtual visits. In doctors' offices, your medical chart is immediately available and visible to your healthcare provider. During telehealth appointments, you become responsible for providing all relevant medical history, current medications, recent test results, and symptom timelines. Most seniors don't realize they need to gather this information beforehand. They sit down for the appointment without their medication bottles, recent lab results, or written notes about symptoms they wanted to discuss. When the doctor asks specific questions about medication dosages or timing of symptoms, seniors find themselves searching through papers or trying to remember details from memory, wasting precious appointment time and providing incomplete information. The solution that's transforming telehealth outcomes for seniors involves using a comprehensive pre-visit checklist. Your telehealth preparation should start 24 hours before the scheduled appointment. Gather all current medications in their original bottles so you can show labels to the camera if needed. Collect recent test results, specialist reports, and any medical documents related to your current concerns. Write down specific questions you want to ask, including new symptoms, medication concerns, and lifestyle changes that might affect your health. Prepare a brief summary of how you've been feeling since your last appointment, including both improvements and new problems. Set up your technology and physical space at least 30 minutes before the appointment time. Position your camera at eye level with bright, even lighting on your face. Test your audio to ensure clear two-way communication. Have a glass of water nearby and eliminate distractions like television or phone notifications. Keep all your prepared materials within easy reach so you don't waste appointment time searching for information. The key insight that changes everything about telehealth success is understanding that virtual appointments require active patient participation in ways that office visits don't. You become responsible for providing visual information, organizing medical history, and facilitating clear communication through technology. When you prepare thoroughly and approach telehealth as a unique medical interaction with its own requirements, these appointments become just as effective as in-person visits for managing your ongoing health needs. However, mastering telehealth communication skills won't protect you from the next serious threat that's targeting seniors who are becoming more comfortable with technology. The criminals have noticed this shift too, and they're adapting their tactics in ways that are catching even tech-savvy seniors completely off guard. Modern financial scams targeting your generation. The numbers from 2023 reveal a financial catastrophe that's getting worse every month. Seniors lost $3.4 billion to scams last year, representing an 11% increase from the previous year, according to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. These aren't the simple phone scams your friends warned you about 5 years ago. The criminals now have technology that can perfectly replicate voices, create fake video calls, and manipulate you in ways that even the smartest people fall for completely. Dorothy learned this harsh reality at 73 when her phone rang on a Tuesday morning. The voice on the other end sounded exactly like her grandson Michael. She recognized his slight stutter, the way he said, "Grandma," with that particular inflection she'd heard since he was 5 years old. Michael explained he was in jail after a car accident and needed $2,500 immediately for bail money. The voice was perfect. Every speech pattern matched exactly. Dorothy drove straight to the bank and wired the money without hesitation because she absolutely knew she was talking to her grandson. 3 hours later, the real Michael called from his college dorm room to chat about his upcoming finals. Dorothy realized she had just lost her grocery money for the next 2 months to criminals using artificial intelligence to clone Michael's voice. What happened to Dorothy represents a complete transformation in how financial scams operate in 2025. Traditional phone scams relied on generic scripts and obvious foreign accents that many seniors learned to recognize. The new wave of fraud uses sophisticated artificial intelligence that studies your family's social media posts, analyzes voice recordings from videos, and creates perfect impersonations of people you trust completely. Scammers can now produce deep fake video calls that show your grandson's face speaking in his exact voice asking for emergency money. They create fake social media profiles using stolen photos and personal information to build relationships over months before requesting financial help. These AI-powered deceptions are so convincing that even highly educated seniors with decades of business experience fall victim repeatedly. The scam categories targeting your generation have evolved into 4 main threats that you need to understand immediately. AI voice cloning scams like Dorothy experienced now account for the fastest growing fraud category because the technology became accessible to common criminals instead of requiring expensive equipment. Fake telehealth billing scams exploit your increased use of virtual medical appointments by sending legitimate-looking bills for services you never received or charges for prescription medications that were never prescribed. Cryptocurrency investment scams specifically target seniors through social media advertisements promising guaranteed returns on digital currency investments that don't actually exist. Romance scams on senior-focused dating apps have become increasingly sophisticated, with criminals creating detailed fake profiles and maintaining long-term emotional relationships before gradually requesting money for various emergencies. These modern scams succeed because they exploit the fundamental trust and generosity that define your generation in ways that previous fraud attempts never could. The criminals study your values and use them against you systematically. They know you prioritize family relationships above financial caution, so they create fake family emergencies that trigger your protective instincts. They understand you trust healthcare providers, so they send fake medical bills that look completely official. They recognize you want to help others, so they create elaborate stories about charitable causes or investment opportunities that promise to help your community. The protection strategy that actually works requires a fundamental shift in how you approach any financial decision, no matter how urgent it seems or who appears to be asking. The 24-hour rule means you never send money, provide financial information, or make investment decisions on the same day you receive the request. This waiting period allows the emotional manipulation to fade and gives you time to verify information through independent sources. Even when the request comes from someone who sounds exactly like your family member, you always verify through multiple communication channels before taking any financial action. The verification protocol starts with never using contact information provided in the suspicious communication. When someone claiming to be your grandson calls asking for money, you hang up and call his regular phone number directly. If someone claiming to represent your bank sends an urgent email, you call the bank's official customer service number from your bank statements, rather than clicking any links in the email. When you receive medical bills that seem questionable, you contact your healthcare provider's billing department using the phone number from your insurance cards, rather than the number listed on the suspicious bill. Watch for specific red flags that appear in almost every modern scam attempt. Urgent time frames that pressure you to act immediately without time for reflection or consultation with others. Requests for payment through gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency instead of traditional payment methods that provide consumer protection. Demands for personal information like social security numbers, bank account details, or passwords that legitimate organizations already have on file. Instructions to keep the transaction secret from family members or financial advisors who would normally be involved in your financial decisions. Here's what's actually happening that gives me hope about this situation. Informed seniors are becoming the most effective scam fighters in their communities. Once you understand these new tactics, you become almost impossible to deceive because you know exactly what questions to ask and how to verify information. You start recognizing the warning signs that less informed people miss completely. Many seniors who learn these protection strategies begin helping their neighbors and friends avoid similar scams. The criminals rely on isolating victims and preventing them from asking other people for advice. When you know what to look for and have a verification system in place, you transform from a potential victim into someone who helps protect your entire community from financial fraud. But even as you become more sophisticated about protecting your finances and communicating safely through technology, there's another area of independent living that creates serious risks when simple mistakes go unnoticed for too long. The medication management crisis nobody talks about. Prescription medication errors represent one of the most serious yet overlooked threats to seniors living independently. Inadequate medication management led to a 10% increase in hospital readmissions among seniors, according to a 2024 CMS report. This isn't about occasionally forgetting a vitamin or missing a dose here and there. These are serious medication errors that send people to emergency rooms and create life-threatening health complications that could be avoided completely with proper medication management systems. Frank discovered how dangerous these mistakes can become when he turned 67 and started living alone after his wife moved to assisted living. Frank had been taking blood pressure medication for 8 years without any problems. His wife used to help him organize his pills and remind him about dosage changes when the doctor adjusted his prescriptions. After she moved out, Frank took over managing his medications by himself. He thought he was supposed to take his blood pressure medication twice daily, but the correct dosage was once daily in the morning. For 3 weeks, Frank doubled his medication without realizing his mistake. The extra dose caused his blood pressure to drop to dangerously low levels, making him dizzy and weak throughout the day. Frank fell 3 times before paramedics discovered his blood pressure was critically low and rushed him to the hospital, where doctors quickly identified the medication overdose. Frank's experience illustrates how medication management becomes exponentially more complex when you're living alone, especially when you're handling multiple prescriptions with different dosing schedules. When you have someone else in the house, they often serve as an informal backup system for remembering medication routines, noticing changes in your health that might indicate medication problems, and helping you communicate with healthcare providers about side effects or concerns. Living alone eliminates this safety net and makes you entirely responsible for tracking complex medication regimens without any external support or verification. The hidden dangers of medication mismanagement create a cascade of health risks that most seniors don't recognize until serious problems develop. Drug interactions happen when you're taking multiple medications that weren't prescribed by the same doctor, or when you add over-the-counter supplements without checking for conflicts with your prescription drugs. Many seniors see different specialists who prescribe medications without full awareness of everything else you're taking, creating dangerous combinations that cause unexpected side effects. Expired medications lose their effectiveness or become harmful, but when you're managing multiple prescriptions, it's easy to lose track of expiration dates and continue taking medications that are no longer safe or effective. Confusion between similar-looking pills creates another major safety hazard. Many medications come in similar shapes, sizes, and colors, making it easy to mix up different prescriptions when you're organizing your daily doses. This problem gets worse when your pharmacy switches to generic versions of your medications, or when different medications end up looking nearly identical. Without someone else to double-check your pill organization, these mix-ups can result in taking the wrong medication for days or weeks before symptoms make the error obvious. The most dangerous aspect of medication errors when living alone is how they can cascade into serious health emergencies without anyone around to notice early warning symptoms. Medication side effects often develop gradually, starting with subtle changes in energy levels, mood, or physical symptoms that you might attribute to normal aging or temporary illness. When you live with other people, they often notice these changes before you do and encourage you to contact your healthcare provider. Living alone means these warning signs can progress for weeks or months without intervention, potentially leading to medical crises that require emergency care. The solution that's transforming medication safety for seniors involves smart pill dispensers and medication management apps specifically designed for older adults. Smart pill dispensers provide audio and visual reminders at the correct dosing times, physically dispense the right medications in the proper amounts, and send alerts to family members or caregivers when doses are missed. The technology eliminates guesswork about timing, dosages, and drug interactions by programming all your medication requirements into a system that manages the complex scheduling automatically. Medication management apps reduced missed doses by up to 50% in clinical trials, according to Michigan Medicine Research. Weekly pill organization remains an effective strategy when combined with modern safety features. Use pill organizers with separate compartments for each day of the week and different sections for morning, afternoon, and evening doses. Fill your organizer at the same time each week when you're alert and focused, preferably with good lighting and minimal distractions. Keep a complete list of all your medications, including dosages and timing instructions, posted in a visible location near your pill storage area. Pharmacy consultation services provide professional oversight for your medication management. Many pharmacies offer medication synchronization programs that coordinate all your prescription refills to happen on the same day each month, making it easier to track your supply and avoid running out of critical medications. Pharmacists can review your complete medication list for potential interactions and provide personalized advice about timing, food requirements, and side effects to watch for. The insight that transforms medication safety is understanding that medication management requires active learning and regular system updates, rather than a simple routine you establish once and follow forever. Your medication needs change as your health conditions evolve, new prescriptions get added or discontinued, and dosing requirements get adjusted based on your response to treatments. However, even when you master medication management and feel confident about your daily routines, home safety hazards you're probably overlooking. The most dangerous hazards exist in spaces where you feel completely secure. According to the CDC, 35% of senior falls occur in bathrooms, one of the rooms where homeowners feel most confident about their safety. This means the places you navigate with complete confidence every day are actually where you're most likely to get seriously injured. The accidents aren't happening where you expect them, and that false sense of security is putting you in real danger. Helen discovered this reality at 70 years old when she had lived in the same house for 32 years. She was making her usual cup of coffee and reached up to get her favorite mug from the cabinet above her counter, the same cabinet she had used thousands of times over 3 decades. As she stretched up on her toes to reach the mug on the second shelf, Helen's balance shifted slightly. She felt herself wobbling and tried to steady herself against the counter, but her hand slipped on the smooth surface. Helen fell backward onto her kitchen floor, hitting her head on the ceramic tile and fracturing her wrist. The accident happened in less than 3 seconds in the room where Helen spent the most time and felt completely safe. What happened to Helen demonstrates how age-related changes in balance, vision, and reaction time create new hazards in spaces that were perfectly safe for decades. Your physical capabilities change gradually over months and years, but your perception of your home environment often stays frozen in time based on your abilities from 5 or 10 years ago. The cabinet that was easy to reach at 60 becomes a stretching challenge at 70. The lighting that seemed adequate when your vision was sharper becomes insufficient when your eyes need more illumination to see clearly. The quick reflexes that used to help you recover from small balance shifts slow down, turning minor wobbles into serious falls. These physiological changes happen so slowly that you don't notice them affecting your daily activities until a dangerous situation occurs. Your depth perception changes, making it harder to judge distances accurately when reaching for objects or stepping up and down curbs. Your balance systems become less responsive, requiring more time to adjust when your center of gravity shifts unexpectedly. Your muscle strength decreases gradually, making tasks that used to feel effortless now require more energy and concentration. Your reaction time slows down, reducing your ability to catch yourself or grab onto something for support when you start to fall. The most overlooked dangers in senior homes create accidents precisely because they seem so harmless and familiar. Inadequate lighting transitions between rooms cause problems when your eyes need extra time to adjust from bright areas to darker spaces or vice versa. Walking from a well-lit kitchen into a dimmer hallway can temporarily affect your ability to see obstacles clearly, but most people don't think about adjusting lighting levels gradually. Loose rugs appear in unexpected places throughout homes, not just in high-traffic areas where people expect them. That small bathroom rug that has been slipping slightly for months, the kitchen mat that bunches up near the sink, or the decorative runner in the hallway that has started to curl at the edges all become tripping hazards when your balance and vision aren't as sharp as they used to be. Cluttered pathways develop gradually as belongings accumulate in spaces that used to stay clear. Magazine stacks grow taller on side tables, shopping bags sit on floors longer before being put away, and household items migrate into walking areas without you realizing how they're creating obstacle courses. Furniture with sharp edges at full height becomes dangerous when positioned in areas where you might lose your balance. Coffee table corners, bed frames, and cabinet edges that never caused problems before can cause serious injuries when falls become more likely. Falls cost more than $50 billion in medical costs annually according to the National Council on Aging, making home safety modifications a critical financial protection strategy as well as a health necessity. Professional home safety assessments provide surprising effectiveness in identifying hazards that homeowners completely miss. These trained evaluators identify an average of 12 previously unnoticed hazards per home during their inspections. They understand exactly how age-related physical changes affect daily activities and can spot potential danger areas that look completely normal to residents who see them every day. Your room-by-room safety checklist should start in your kitchen by ensuring adequate lighting over work areas, securing or removing loose mats, and relocating frequently used items to easily accessible shelves. Check your bathroom for proper lighting around the mirror and shower, non-slip surfaces in wet areas, and grab bars positioned for actual use rather than decoration. Evaluate your bedroom for clear pathways to the bathroom, appropriate lighting for nighttime navigation, and bed height that allows easy getting in and out. Examine your living areas for furniture arrangement that provides clear walking paths, adequate lighting for reading and moving around, and electrical cords that don't cross walkways. The key realization that changes everything about home safety is understanding that proactive home modification represents an investment in long-term independence rather than an admission of weakness. Making your home safer before accidents happen allows you to continue living independently with confidence instead of fear. However, even when you create the safest possible physical environment, there's another threat to independent living that's becoming more serious every year and affects your health in ways that most people don't fully understand. The social isolation epidemic getting worse. Social isolation has become a persistent health threat affecting 1 in 3 older adults, with 29% reporting they feel isolated some or all of the time according to Michigan medicine research. This isn't about occasional loneliness that everyone experiences. This represents a persistent, daily struggle with isolation that affects nearly a third of seniors living independently. The problem has gotten significantly worse since 2018, creating a health crisis that most people don't recognize as life-threatening. William's experience at 74 years old shows exactly how this isolation develops without warning signs. William lived in a vibrant community with a senior center, regular activities, and friendly neighbors. He felt connected to his surroundings and didn't consider himself lonely or isolated. William attended community events occasionally and exchanged pleasantries with people at the grocery store. He thought his social needs were being met adequately. One Thursday evening, William sat in his living room trying to remember the last time he had an actual conversation with another person. He realized that beyond brief exchanges about the weather or saying thank you to cashiers, he hadn't spoken meaningfully with anyone in 6 days. The community activities he thought were keeping him connected were actually just shared spaces where people gathered without really talking to each other. Social isolation in 2025 operates differently than loneliness experienced by previous generations because digital communication barriers and changed community structures have fundamentally altered how people connect with each other. Traditional social gathering places like churches, community centers, and neighborhood groups still exist, but they function differently than they did 20 years ago. Many activities now require online registration, digital communication between meetings, or technology skills that create barriers for seniors who haven't adapted to these new requirements. Family communication increasingly happens through text messages, social media, and video calls that many seniors find difficult to navigate, leaving them excluded from regular family updates and casual conversations. The community structures that used to provide natural social interaction have changed in ways that reduce opportunities for meaningful connections. Neighbors are less likely to spend time in their yards or front porches where casual conversations used to develop naturally. Shopping centers and businesses use self-service options that eliminate interactions with employees. Medical appointments happen through telehealth visits that lack the social component of visiting doctors' offices where you might chat with other patients or staff members. Even religious services often encourage online participation, reducing face-to-face interactions that used to provide weekly social connections. The health consequences of social isolation create serious medical risks that many people don't realize until permanent damage occurs. Research shows that isolation increases dementia risk by 40% compared to socially connected seniors, meaning loneliness directly affects brain function and cognitive decline. Heart disease risk increases by 29% among isolated seniors because social connection affects cardiovascular health through stress reduction and emotional support systems. Depression rates increase by 68% among seniors experiencing regular social isolation, creating mental health challenges that compound physical health problems and reduce overall life expectancy. These health impacts happen because social connection affects your body's stress response systems, immune function, and motivation to maintain healthy behaviors. When you're isolated, your body produces higher levels of stress hormones that damage cardiovascular systems over time. Your immune system becomes less effective at fighting infections and diseases when you lack social support networks. You're less likely to maintain exercise routines, eat nutritious meals, or follow medical recommendations when you don't have social connections that encourage healthy behaviors. Social isolation becomes self-reinforcing in ways that make reconnection progressively more difficult the longer it continues. When you spend days without meaningful social interaction, you lose practice with conversation skills and social cues that make future interactions feel more comfortable. Extended isolation can create social anxiety that makes you avoid social situations even when opportunities become available. You might start declining invitations because you feel out of practice with social interactions, which leads to fewer future invitations and deeper isolation. Depression and low energy that result from isolation reduce your motivation to seek social connections, creating a cycle where loneliness feeds on itself. The unexpected finding that's transforming how we address senior loneliness shows that structured social activities work significantly better than casual interactions for combating isolation. Casual social contact like brief conversations with neighbors or exchanges with store employees provides pleasant moments but doesn't create the deeper connections that improve health outcomes. Structured activities with regular meeting times, shared purposes, and opportunities for ongoing relationships create the meaningful social bonds that actually reduce isolation and improve physical and mental health. Volunteer matching services connect you with organizations that need your specific skills and interests, creating social connections built around shared purposes rather than forced conversations. Interest-based groups organize around hobbies, learning opportunities, or shared experiences that give you natural conversation topics and reasons to meet regularly. Intergenerational programs connect seniors with younger community members through mentoring, tutoring, or shared activities that benefit both age groups and create relationships that wouldn't develop naturally. Building meaningful social connections requires the same intentional planning and regular commitment that you give to physical exercise or medical care. You need to schedule social activities consistently rather than waiting for opportunities to appear spontaneously. Choose activities that match your interests and energy levels so you're more likely to attend regularly and enjoy the experience. Set specific social goals like having one meaningful conversation per week or attending 2 social activities per month. The key insight that changes everything about social connection is understanding that it represents a health necessity rather than a luxury that you pursue when you have extra time or energy. Social connection affects your physical health, mental clarity, and life expectancy just as much as exercise, nutrition, and medical care. When you treat social activities as essential health maintenance rather than optional entertainment, you prioritize them appropriately and create the consistent social engagement that prevents isolation from developing into a serious health crisis. However, maintaining social connections and managing your daily independence becomes meaningless if you're not prepared for the unexpected emergencies that can transform from minor inconveniences into life-threatening situations when you're living alone. Emergency preparedness gaps that could cost you. The shocking reality about emergency preparedness reveals that approximately 72% of seniors living alone lack adequate emergency plans, despite being the most vulnerable group during disasters. This isn't about having a flashlight and some extra batteries in a drawer somewhere. This represents a complete absence of the specialized planning that seniors need to survive emergencies safely. When disasters strike, older adults face unique challenges that general emergency advice doesn't address, and this preparation gap is putting lives at serious risk every day. Patricia's experience at 68 years old shows exactly how quickly emergency situations become life-threatening when you're unprepared and living alone. When a major winter storm knocked out power to her entire neighborhood for 5 full days, Patricia discovered how inadequate her basic preparations were. Her smartphone battery died with no way to recharge it, cutting off all communication with family and emergency services. Her refrigerated medications spoiled without power, leaving her uncertain whether her insulin and heart medications were still safe to use. Patricia's heating system required electricity to run the blower fan, so her house grew dangerously cold despite having a gas furnace. By the time power returned, Patricia was dehydrated, exhausted, and showing signs of medication disruption that required immediate medical attention. Emergency preparedness for seniors requires completely different considerations than general disaster planning because aging bodies and chronic health conditions create vulnerabilities that younger people don't face. Standard emergency advice focuses on temporary inconveniences like food storage and basic communication, but seniors need specialized plans that address medication management, mobility limitations, chronic health conditions, and the increased medical risks that come with aging. Generic emergency kits don't include the backup medications, medical equipment, and health monitoring tools that many seniors require daily for basic safety. Critical gaps in senior emergency planning create dangerous situations that can quickly become life-threatening when you're alone and unprepared. Inadequate medication backup leaves you without essential prescriptions when pharmacies close, power outages spoil refrigerated medications, or evacuation situations separate you from your regular medication supplies. Many seniors keep only small supplies of their medications and don't realize they need emergency backup quantities that account for delayed pharmacy access during disasters. Communication plans with family members often assume that cell phones and landlines will continue working during emergencies. But seniors need alternative communication methods and predetermined check-in schedules that account for extended service disruptions. According to FEMA, only 15% of older adults have an emergency kit, highlighting a massive gap in disaster readiness among the population most vulnerable to emergency complications. Mobility-friendly evacuation plans remain absent from most senior emergency preparations, even though physical limitations can make standard evacuation procedures impossible or dangerous. Seniors with mobility aids, chronic pain, or balance problems need evacuation routes that accommodate their specific physical needs and transportation arrangements that provide appropriate support. Emergency supply stockpiles frequently ignore the specialized needs of older adults, focusing on general survival items while missing medical equipment, extra prescription supplies, and health monitoring devices that seniors depend on daily. The anxiety around emergency situations intensifies when you realize how quickly disasters can become life-threatening without proper preparation. Power outages that seem manageable for a few hours become medical emergencies when essential medications spoil, heating systems fail, and communication devices stop working. Weather emergencies that require evacuation become impossible when you haven't planned transportation that accommodates mobility limitations or packed emergency supplies that include medical necessities. Medical emergencies become more serious when you can't communicate with healthcare providers, access prescription medications, or manage chronic conditions without your usual support systems. The comprehensive solution that transforms emergency outcomes shows that seniors with detailed emergency plans are 87% more likely to safely weather disasters without hospitalization. This dramatic improvement happens because thorough planning addresses the specific vulnerabilities that older adults face during crises, providing practical solutions before emergencies develop into medical crises. Your senior-specific emergency preparedness checklist should include medication management strategies with backup supplies stored properly, emergency contact information that includes multiple communication methods, and mobility considerations that account for your physical limitations. Keep emergency medication supplies that last at least 2 weeks beyond your regular prescriptions, stored in appropriate conditions with clear expiration date tracking. Establish communication protocols with family members that include predetermined check-in times, multiple contact methods, and backup communication plans when primary systems fail. Plan evacuation routes that accommodate your mobility needs, arrange transportation that provides appropriate support, and pack emergency supplies that include medical equipment and health monitoring devices. The empowering realization that changes everything about emergency planning is understanding that proper preparation provides both peace of mind and actual life-saving protection during disasters. When you have comprehensive emergency plans in place, you gain confidence in your ability to handle unexpected situations safely while eliminating the anxiety that comes from feeling unprepared and vulnerable. However, even the most thorough emergency preparations become meaningless if your daily nutrition habits are quietly undermining your health and energy levels in ways that most seniors don't recognize until serious problems develop. Nutrition and meal planning mistakes. The alarming truth about senior nutrition shows that 1/3 of older people report infrequent social contact, and nutritional deficits have increased significantly post-pandemic. This isn't about seniors who can't afford groceries or don't have access to food stores. These are people with full refrigerators and well-stocked pantries who are still experiencing serious nutritional deficiencies that affect their health, energy levels, and cognitive function. The malnutrition happens because eating well when you live alone requires completely different strategies than most seniors realize. George's experience at 71 years old shows exactly how nutritional problems develop without obvious warning signs. After his wife passed away, George gradually simplified his food choices to make cooking easier and reduce waste. He settled into a routine of eating the same convenient meals repeatedly because they were simple to prepare. George's preference for convenience foods led to significant nutrient gaps that manifested as afternoon fatigue and concentration problems. When George finally saw his doctor for a routine checkup, blood tests revealed multiple nutritional deficiencies, including low levels of vitamins B12, D, and several essential minerals. The doctor explained that George's fatigue and confusion were direct symptoms of malnutrition, not normal aging processes. Cooking for one creates unique challenges that lead to poor nutrition through several interconnected problems that most seniors don't anticipate when they start living alone. Food waste concerns make you avoid buying fresh ingredients because you worry about spoilage before you can use everything up. Fresh vegetables, fruits, and proteins often come in quantities designed for families, making it seem wasteful to buy healthy ingredients when you're cooking for yourself. This concern leads many seniors to rely on processed foods, canned goods, and frozen meals that last longer but provide inferior nutrition compared to fresh ingredients. Lack of motivation affects meal preparation when you're cooking only for yourself because the social aspect of sharing meals disappears. Preparing elaborate or even moderately complex meals feels less rewarding when you're eating alone, leading to simplified food choices that require minimal preparation time and effort. Many seniors find that cooking becomes a chore rather than an enjoyable activity when they don't have someone to share the meals with or appreciate their cooking efforts. Simplified meal choices become the default option when seniors prioritize convenience over nutrition. Easy-to-prepare foods like sandwiches, frozen dinners, canned soups, and snack foods replace balanced meals that include vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. These convenient options often lack the variety of nutrients needed for optimal health, particularly for older adults whose bodies require higher levels of certain vitamins and minerals to maintain physical and cognitive function. The cascade effects of poor nutrition create serious health consequences that extend far beyond feeling tired or having low energy levels. Increased fall risk happens when nutritional deficiencies affect muscle strength, bone density, and balance coordination. Seniors with inadequate protein intake experience muscle weakness that makes falls more likely and recovery from injuries more difficult. Calcium and vitamin D deficiencies contribute to bone fragility, increasing the risk of fractures when falls occur. Cognitive decline accelerates when the brain doesn't receive adequate nutrients to maintain normal function. B vitamins, omega-3 fatty acids, and antioxidants play crucial roles in brain health, and deficiencies in these nutrients can cause memory problems, confusion, and difficulty concentrating that seniors often mistake for normal aging. Poor nutrition affects neurotransmitter production and brain cell communication, contributing to mood changes and mental clarity issues. Weakened immune system function results from inadequate nutrition, making seniors more susceptible to infections, illnesses, and slower recovery times. The immune system requires specific nutrients including vitamin C, zinc, and protein to function effectively. Malnourished seniors experience more frequent colds, longer recovery periods from minor illnesses, and increased risk of serious infections that can require hospitalization. The game-changing approach that's transforming senior nutrition shows that proper meal planning and preparation can break unhealthy eating habits while providing structure to daily routines. Batch cooking strategies solve multiple nutrition challenges by preparing larger quantities of healthy meals that can be portioned and stored for future use. Weekly batch cooking reduces food waste and raises nutrient intake by up to 20% according to research findings. Cook large batches of soups, stews, casseroles, and other nutritious meals on days when you have energy and motivation, then freeze individual portions for easy reheating throughout the week. Senior-focused meal delivery services provide balanced, portion-appropriate meals that eliminate food waste while ensuring adequate nutrition without requiring extensive meal preparation. Simple nutrition monitoring techniques help you track whether you're getting adequate nutrients from your daily food choices. Keep a basic food diary that notes what you eat each day, focusing on including sources of protein, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains in your regular meals. Good nutrition represents the foundation of healthy aging and requires intentional planning when living alone. By adopting proactive strategies for meal preparation and nutrition monitoring, you can maintain the energy and cognitive function needed for continued independence. However, even the best nutrition habits become meaningless if you can't access fresh groceries, attend medical appointments, or maintain social connections because transportation barriers are quietly limiting your independence. Transportation and mobility independence. The transportation crisis facing seniors today reveals that 27% have given up driving in the past year, but 61% lack adequate alternative transportation options according to AARP data. This means more than half of seniors who can no longer drive safely have no reliable way to get around their communities. These aren't people who stopped driving by choice or because they wanted to reduce their responsibilities. These are seniors who made the difficult decision to give up their independence behind the wheel for safety reasons, only to discover they had no backup plan for maintaining their mobility and freedom. Ruth's story at 69 years old shows exactly how transportation limitations destroy independence without warning. After giving up her car due to declining confidence and vision concerns, Ruth discovered that complicated bus routes and lost social activities quickly transformed her from an active community member into someone who rarely left her immediate neighborhood. Her weekly book club became inaccessible due to complex public transportation requiring 2 transfers and over an hour each way. Her monthly bridge game had no bus service at all. Medical appointments turned into major logistical challenges, leading Ruth to skip routine care because arranging transportation felt overwhelming and expensive. Transportation limitations create a domino effect that affects every aspect of independent living in ways that seniors don't anticipate until they experience them directly. Health consequences develop when you start missing medical appointments because transportation is too complicated or expensive to arrange regularly. Routine preventive care gets postponed, chronic conditions go unmonitored, and prescription refills get delayed when getting to healthcare providers requires major planning and expense. Social isolation accelerates when transportation barriers make it impossible to maintain friendships, participate in community activities, or engage in hobbies that require travel beyond walking distance. The inability to shop for fresh food affects nutrition and health when you're limited to whatever stores you can reach on foot or through minimal public transportation. Many seniors find themselves shopping at convenience stores or small markets with limited selections and higher prices because these locations are accessible without cars. The increased reliance on others for transportation creates stress and guilt about burdening family members or friends with requests for rides. Many seniors avoid asking for help even when they need it, leading to further isolation and unmet needs. Transportation challenges can quickly transform independent seniors into homebound individuals through a process that happens faster than most people realize. Once you stop driving, every trip outside your immediate area requires planning, coordination with others, or expensive private transportation services. The effort required for simple errands becomes so burdensome that many seniors gradually reduce their activities until they rarely leave home except for absolute necessities. This progression from independent living to homebound status often happens within months of giving up driving, particularly for seniors who didn't plan alternative transportation before they needed it. The surprising availability of senior transportation services in 2025 shows that rideshare programs, medical transport, and community shuttle services have expanded significantly compared to just a few years ago. Many communities now offer specialized rideshare programs with trained drivers who understand senior mobility needs and provide door-to-door service at reduced rates. Medical transport services have grown to include non-emergency transportation for routine appointments, with some programs covered by Medicare or insurance plans. Volunteer driver programs in 30 states have reduced missed medical appointments by 45% among seniors, providing crucial support for maintaining healthcare access. Senior-specific transportation options include volunteer driver programs where community members provide rides for medical appointments and essential errands. Many religious organizations and community groups operate transportation services for their members and local seniors. Ride-sharing companies now offer specialized programs with features like extra assistance getting in and out of vehicles, scheduled recurring rides for regular appointments, and drivers trained to work with older adults who may need additional time or support. Eligibility requirements for senior transportation services vary by program, but typically include age minimums ranging from 60 to 65 years old, residence within specific service areas, and sometimes income guidelines for subsidized programs. Medical transport services may require physician certification of transportation needs. Costs range from free volunteer programs to subsidized services, charging minimal fees to private transportation that costs more but offers greater flexibility and convenience. Accessing these services usually starts with contacting your local area agency on aging, which maintains information about all available transportation options in your community. Senior centers, libraries, and healthcare providers often have resource lists for transportation services. Online directories and phone helplines provide comprehensive information about eligibility, costs, and how to register for different programs. Transportation planning should happen before mobility becomes limited, not after you've already given up driving. Research available services in your area while you're still driving so you understand your options and can register for programs that have waiting lists. Test different transportation methods occasionally while you still have your car as backup, so you're familiar with routes, schedules, and procedures before you depend on them completely. This proactive approach prevents the isolation and independence loss that happens when seniors give up driving without adequate transportation alternatives already in place. However, even when you solve transportation challenges and maintain access to essential services, there's another aspect of independent living that requires just as much attention but often gets overlooked until serious problems develop. Mental health and cognitive wellness. Mental health and cognitive wellness represent the foundation that makes all other aspects of independent living possible. The concerning reality about senior mental health shows that 38% of seniors living alone display signs of depression, yet only 23% seek mental health support. This massive gap between those experiencing mental health challenges and those getting help represents a silent crisis affecting millions of older adults. The problem isn't that mental health services don't exist or that seniors don't want to feel better. The issue is that mental health problems in older adults get dismissed as normal aging, creating dangerous delays in treatment that can have permanent consequences. Arthur's experience at 73 years old demonstrates exactly how mental health warning signs get overlooked when they develop gradually over time. Arthur had always been sharp, organized, and socially active throughout his retirement years. Over several months, Arthur started noticing changes that worried him but didn't seem serious enough to mention to anyone. His memory felt less reliable than usual, especially when trying to remember names of people he had known for years. Arthur found himself feeling sad and unmotivated more often, particularly during winter months when he spent more time indoors. He lost interest in activities that used to bring him joy, like working in his garden or reading mystery novels. Arthur's sleep patterns changed significantly, with frequent middle-of-the-night awakenings that left him tired and foggy the next day. Arthur attributed all these changes to getting older and assumed they were inevitable parts of aging that everyone experienced eventually. When his adult children noticed that Arthur seemed less engaged during family gatherings and asked if he was feeling okay, Arthur assured them he was fine and just experiencing normal aging processes. Mental health challenges in seniors get overlooked or misattributed to physical aging processes because many symptoms of depression and anxiety in older adults present differently than they do in younger people. While younger adults with depression often express obvious sadness or emotional distress, seniors may experience depression through physical symptoms like fatigue, changes in appetite, or unexplained aches and pains. Anxiety in older adults often manifests as excessive worry about health, safety, or finances rather than the panic attacks or generalized nervousness that characterize anxiety in younger populations. These subtle presentations make it easy for seniors, their families, and even healthcare providers to mistake mental health problems for normal aging or physical health issues. The warning signs that require immediate attention include persistent sadness that lasts for weeks or months, rather than temporary grief or disappointment about specific events. Memory concerns that affect daily functioning, like forgetting important appointments or having difficulty following familiar routines, indicate problems beyond normal age-related memory changes. Social withdrawal that represents a significant change from previous behavior patterns, especially when seniors stop participating in activities they previously enjoyed or avoid contact with friends and family members. Changes in sleep patterns that include difficulty falling asleep, frequent nighttime awakenings, or sleeping much more or less than usual over extended periods. Loss of interest in activities that previously brought pleasure or satisfaction, including hobbies, social events, or personal care routines. Additional warning signs include significant changes in appetite or weight, increased irritability or agitation, persistent feelings of hopelessness or worthlessness, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, and physical symptoms like headaches or digestive problems that don't respond to medical treatment. These symptoms become concerning when they persist for several weeks, interfere with daily activities, or represent marked changes from previous functioning levels. The research reveals particularly alarming connections between mental health and social isolation. Among seniors who reported their mental health as fair or poor, 75% also experienced loneliness and 77% felt socially isolated. These figures are dramatically higher than those reported by seniors with better mental health, showing how mental wellness and social connection reinforce each other. The CDC has found that social isolation raises depression risk by 50% in seniors, creating a dangerous cycle where poor mental health leads to isolation, which further worsens mental health outcomes. Untreated mental health issues create serious consequences that extend far beyond emotional discomfort. Research shows that untreated depression and anxiety can accelerate cognitive decline and increase the risk of developing dementia by affecting brain function and memory processes. Mental health problems reduce overall life expectancy by contributing to poor physical health outcomes, decreased immune function, and reduced motivation to maintain healthy behaviors like exercise and proper nutrition. Seniors with untreated depression are more likely to experience falls, medication non-compliance, and social isolation that compounds existing health problems. Practical strategies for maintaining mental wellness include cognitive exercises that challenge your brain through activities like puzzles, reading, learning new skills, or engaging in complex conversations that require mental effort. Social engagement remains crucial for mental health, requiring regular interaction with others through community activities, volunteer work, religious participation, or maintaining friendships through phone calls and visits. Professional support options include counseling services specifically designed for older adults, support groups for seniors dealing with similar challenges, and medical evaluation for mental health symptoms that might benefit from medication or other treatments. Stress management techniques help seniors cope with the unique stresses of aging, including health concerns, financial worries, loss of independence, and grief over losing friends and family members. Effective stress management includes regular physical activity appropriate for your fitness level, relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation, maintaining routines that provide structure and purpose, and developing healthy coping strategies for dealing with difficult emotions. The key insight that changes everything about mental health in aging is understanding that mental wellness requires the same proactive attention throughout your life as physical health maintenance. Just as you schedule regular medical checkups, exercise routines, and preventive care for your body, your mental health needs consistent attention, professional support when necessary, and early intervention when problems develop. Mental health is not a luxury or something you address only during crises, but an essential component of healthy aging that affects every aspect of your independence and quality of life. However, maintaining excellent mental health becomes significantly more challenging when financial stress creates constant worry about your ability to afford the lifestyle and care you need to remain independent. Financial planning and security oversights. These financial pressures reveal deeper vulnerabilities that most seniors don't anticipate during their retirement planning. The alarming fact that should wake you up about senior financial security shows that nearly half of seniors living alone have less than 6 months of expenses saved, despite needing more emergency funds than younger adults according to AARP's 2024 survey. This isn't about seniors who are careless with money or who haven't worked hard their entire lives. These are people who saved for retirement and thought they were financially prepared, but they didn't account for the dramatically different expenses that come with aging independently. Betty discovered this harsh reality at 70 years old when her carefully planned retirement savings suddenly weren't enough to handle an unexpected crisis. Betty had worked as a teacher for 35 years and saved diligently for retirement. She owned her home outright, had a decent pension, and felt confident about her financial situation. Everything changed when she woke up one morning to find water flooding her kitchen floor from a burst pipe. The repair estimates quickly escalated to over $15,000 when contractors found extensive water damage and mold problems. Betty's homeowner's insurance covered some damage, but she still faced unexpected expenses of nearly $10,000. Betty realized she had never planned for the increased expenses of aging independently and maintaining an older home without help from a spouse or additional income sources. Financial planning for seniors living alone requires completely different strategies than traditional retirement planning because the expense categories and risk factors change dramatically once you're no longer working and living with other adults. Traditional retirement advice focuses on replacing your working income with savings and Social Security benefits, but it doesn't address the unique cost increases that happen when you age independently. Most retirement calculators assume your expenses will decrease during retirement, but seniors living alone often face higher costs in several critical areas that can quickly overwhelm fixed retirement incomes. The unique financial challenges facing seniors create budget pressures that younger adults don't experience and that traditional retirement planning doesn't anticipate adequately. Healthcare expenditures are projected to approach $5 trillion in 2025, accounting for over 18% of the country's gross domestic product according to NetSuite. This massive increase in healthcare costs affects seniors disproportionately because medical needs become more complex and frequent, requiring specialist visits, diagnostic procedures, prescription medications, and medical equipment that Medicare doesn't cover completely. Home maintenance expenses increase significantly when you're responsible for all repairs and upkeep without help from family members or roommates who might share costs or provide labor. Potential care needs create enormous financial uncertainty because the costs of hiring help for daily activities, transportation, or medical support can quickly exceed retirement budgets. Even part-time assistance with household tasks, grocery shopping, or medication management can cost hundreds of dollars per month. Inflation impact on fixed incomes creates a progressive financial squeeze as the cost of everything increases while retirement income stays relatively stable. Seniors on fixed incomes find their purchasing power decreasing each year as prices for food, utilities, insurance, and services continue rising without corresponding increases in their pension or social security payments. Financial insecurity creates anxiety about how quickly economic problems can force unwanted changes in living arrangements and independence. When unexpected expenses exceed your available savings, you face immediate pressure to make major life decisions under financial stress. Some seniors must sell their homes and move to less expensive housing when they can't afford major repairs or maintenance costs. Others must move in with family members or accept roommates when their housing costs become unmanageable on fixed incomes. Many seniors reduce their independence by cutting back on activities, transportation, or social engagement when financial pressures make these expenses feel unaffordable. The protective strategy that transforms financial security shows that seniors with comprehensive financial plans, including long-term care insurance, maintain independence 83% longer than those without adequate planning, according to the Commonwealth Fund. This dramatic difference happens because comprehensive financial planning addresses the specific cost increases and unexpected expenses that affect seniors living alone. Long-term care insurance provides coverage for home care services, medical equipment, and assistance with daily activities that help seniors continue living independently even when their care needs increase. Actionable financial planning steps provide a structured approach to building financial security that supports long-term independence. Expense tracking helps you understand your actual spending patterns and identify areas where costs might increase as you age. Track not just your current expenses, but also note seasonal variations, medical costs, and home maintenance expenses that happen irregularly but represent significant budget items. Emergency fund building for seniors requires larger reserves than general financial advice suggests because unexpected expenses related to health and home maintenance tend to be more expensive and more frequent for older adults living alone. Insurance review becomes critical as your needs change with age and living situation. Evaluate your homeowner's insurance to ensure adequate coverage for aging homes that might need expensive repairs. Consider long-term care insurance that provides coverage for services that help maintain independence. Review your health insurance annually to understand what medical expenses you might face and ensure you have adequate coverage for prescription drugs and specialist care. Estate planning updates ensure your financial assets are protected and accessible when you need them for care or emergency expenses. The empowering realization that changes everything about senior financial planning is understanding that financial planning serves as a tool for maintaining independence rather than just managing money. When you have comprehensive financial plans that address the specific challenges of aging independently, you gain control over your future choices instead of letting financial constraints dictate your living arrangements and care options. This proactive approach to financial security becomes the foundation that makes everything else possible. But success requires more than just having money in the bank. The path forward requires specific action rather than general intentions. Research reveals that the most successful seniors living independently aren't the ones who avoid all risks or pretend challenges don't exist. The seniors who thrive are those who proactively address problems before they become crises. They prepare emergency plans before disasters strike, learn technology skills before they become essential, and build social connections before loneliness sets in. Right now, focus on 3 concrete steps. Learn basic smartphone functions for emergency calls and family communication. Schedule a professional home safety assessment to identify hidden hazards. And create a simple emergency kit with backup medications and essential supplies. These targeted actions create significant safety improvements when you implement them consistently. Contact your local area agency on aging to find free technology classes and transportation services in your community. Independent living at any age is possible with the right preparation.